Hi everyone. It's 8 o'clock on Tuesday night, so it's time to read another Choose Your Own Adventure. Um, yeah, actually, before I begin, just wanted to say work was pretty rough today, but I'm glad that I have just to look forward to and a lot of stuff to look forward to. But it's nice to just have like an hour where you can kind of forget about all the grown-up stuff and um, kind of go back in time, pretend that we're all kids again reading a choose your own adventure book. So that's nice. Um, yeah, and I'm glad I started doing this. It's been like over a year since I've been reading these. It actually took almost a year before I had the idea, like right at the beginning of the pandemic, to do this, and then I did it once. It felt awkward, and then I didn't do it for like months, and then I was like, finally, you know what? I'm just gonna do this because we're still stuck inside our houses, and even if no one watches this and it's like ridiculous, I'll have fun with it. So I kind of started with that view of it. So, but glad that other people are watching. Let's get frosty. That's right, Rachel. All right. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get started with this. Hold on, I'm just trying to get the screen up so I can see people's comments. All right. Yeah, so this one is a South Pole Sabotage by Cedon Johnson. Cedon? I haven't seen that first name before, so I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And this is Choose Your Own Adventure number 89. Oh, Lord, yeah, it's on fire. It's a fire. The boat's on fire. It's sinking. We're on an ice floe in the middle of nowhere, apparently, and all we have is this little boat. So, yeah, this is Choose Your Own Adventure number 89. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we're actually sabotaging the entire South Pole. Like you spelled it, the face cis going to be awesome. So, yeah, so that looks pretty bad. Looks like, I don't know what that is on the boat. It looks like, whoops, it looks like some toilet paper or something. Oops, I need to adjust something here. There we go. So that the phone doesn't move around everywhere and get everyone sick. Okay. Now let's look. Oh, this originally was priced at $2.50. All right. You're the Star. 20 exciting endings. Can you save the Antarctic expedition? You're spending the summer aboard your uncle's ocean research ship, the Pole Star. This year, the United Nations has chartered the ship for an expedition to investigate a hole in the Earth's ozone layer over Antarctica. Remember when they all talked about the hole in the ozone layer? Yeah, that's no big deal anymore. When the Pole Star anchors in the icy waters of Danger Bay, you must make a choice. Will you keep watch aboard the ship and become second mate? Or will you go ashore to set up an automatic ozone monitoring station? If you decide to stay with the Pole Star, turn to page 6. If you decide to go ashore, turn to page 44. But be careful. There are deadly enemies who are trying to sabotage your expedition. You might get zapped by Chem-Splat, the world's most powerful laser. Or you might save the Pole Star from total destruction. What happens next in the story? It all depends on the choices you make. How does the story end? Only you can find out. And the best part is that you can keep reading and rereading until you've had not one, but many incredibly daring experiences. Yeah, people are taking climate change seriously. Like, people are talking about climate change, like, scientists were talking about, like, back in the 80s, or before that. And, like, here we still are, like, nothing really being done, so. Rob, Chem-Splat. This is, I don't know why you'd call a laser Chem-Splat. That sounds like something from Austin Powers, where, like, Dr. Evil was going to call it the Alan Parsons Project. It just doesn't make any sense. Oh, that's a meow from Dinah. She's already getting started. So I guess this originally was owned by someone named Wendell. I'm assuming that's a last name. Probably not a first name, but I don't know. It just says Wendell. And then Kids Can't Stop Reading the Choose Your Own Adventure stories. And it's the same 4 kids always. We're riding the SS Disaster. We're riding on the SS Disaster, riding into Danger Bay. We should name our next cat Wendell. Name the next cat Wendell. And then teachers like the series too. All right, and here's a picture of the Pole Star. It's illustrated by Frank Boll, Bolle. And the cover art is by Romas Koukoulas. All right. And this was published in March 1989. Someone's not in the kitchen with Dinah. That's why she's meowing. Brendan Devlin, age 11. All right. With love to Zenita Coates. Warning. Do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures you may have when you travel to the Antarctic aboard your uncle's ocean research vessel to investigate a hole in the Earth's ozone layer. From time to time, as you read along, you will have to make choices and decisions. Your choices may lead to success or disaster. The adventures that follow are the result of your choices. So they switched this up a little bit. I was so used to reading the same thing over and over again. Be careful. Your expedition aboard the Polestar will bring you face to face with some scientists who desperately want to sabotage your expedition. Good luck. There's two penguins. Did you miss Dinah? Oh, yeah. Nah, she wasn't on camera, Stephanie. It was just, yeah, she was being very vocal. And there's two little walruses. Looks like a mama walrus and a little baby walrus, maybe. At least that's what I'm going with. It's pretty cute. Hope we have lots of walruses like that. All right. Your Uncle Ben owns the ocean research vessel Polestar, and this summer, the United Nations chartered the ship for 1 month. The Polestar will be traveling south to the Antarctic to investigate a hole in the Earth's protective ozone layer, and you'll be going with them. Uncle Ben has told you that the mission is of greatest importance. Less than a month ago, a United Nations satellite, which checked the ozone layer automatically, mysteriously disappeared from orbit without leaving a trace. The Polestar expedition must set up a monitoring station near the South Pole to take over these studies until a new satellite can be launched. You don't know much about the ozone layer, but as you go over the plans of the expedition with your Uncle Ben, he explains more to you. Ozone, he says, is a gas related to oxygen. Imagine that the planet Earth is the yolk of an egg, and the egg white is our atmosphere, the stuff we breathe. Then think of the ozone layer as the shell of the egg, a kind of protective cover. Think what would happen if a shell had a hole in it. Sounds like it would be bad. Why is he showing us an apple, though? Pretend this apple is an egg, if you will. There we go. What is it that we're holding in our hands? I don't even know what... I don't know what that's supposed to be. Okay. It's like a Swiss Army knife thing. Okay. Right. Imagine if... Is that Uncle Ben? Why is he 14? Wait, I think Uncle Ben is this guy. Well, yeah, well, we're 10, and then Uncle Ben, he's a research scientist. He's 15. Uncle Ben, the most common uncle name. Does he tell us that with great power comes great responsibility? Possibly. You mean that our atmosphere would leak out, you ask, astonished? Uncle Ben shakes his head. No, but just as bad. Dangerous ultraviolet rays would leak in. The ozone layer filters out most of the harmful ultraviolet rays that come from the sun. Without a protective shell of ozone, all the crops in the world could burn up. All the people and animals of planet Earth could develop deadly skin diseases. And eventually, the global temperature would rise, melting the polar ice caps. That would raise the level of the oceans of the world by more than 6 meters and flood coastal cities such as New York, Buenos Aires, Tokyo, and Sydney. Until your Uncle Ben explained the importance of the ozone layer, you thought this trip would be dull. But now you realize that the future of the world may depend on the success of this expedition, and you're an important member of it. Now get to work, Uncle Ben orders. We've got a lot to do before we leave. What was your uncle? Oh, it's a sextant. Oh, okay. Was your uncle a scientist? Well, my uncle wasn't a scientist. With minute rice comes minute responsibility. Yeah, I was thinking of that Uncle Ben too. Is it still called Uncle Ben? Right? I think I think they changed the name of that. I'm glad they did that. Uh-oh. Spoilers. The Pole Star is a modern steel vessel, 70 meters long and built for extended cruising in the polar regions. She has been down to the ice many times before. I don't know why that's in quotes, but one of your closest friends is the engineering officer Scotty McTaggart, a Scottish man who has been with the Pole Star since she was launched on the River Clyde in Scotland more than 17 years ago. Scotty has taught you a lot about the ship's machinery, and Uncle Ben has tutored you in navigation and ship handling. You hope that someday, after you graduate from school, you can be a ship's officer and maybe, eventually, a captain. All afternoon, scientific equipment, food, drums of gasoline, and the snowmobiles are loaded on deck. Then, by evening, the leader of the expedition, Dr. Pogolski, a world-famous Polish scientist, arrives. He is accompanied by two young assistants, Joseph and Marie. In the early morning hours, a tug nudges the Pole Star from her berth, and she moves out of Invercargill, New Zealand, setting a course south towards the Antarctic into the teeth of a rising gale. Your adventure has begun. He's given it all he's got. Yeah, right, Don. He's got. I can't give you any more power, Captain. Well, I don't know if I'm going to try to do a Scottish accent. That would not go well. Yeah, Scotty is the engineer. What are the odds? He's. Yeah, they're not. They have to be called Scotty. Is your name Scotty? No. Can you do a Scottish accent? Want to hear how Dr. Pogolski sounds? Give it my best. Turn to page 31. For several days, the Pole Star slogged south through mountainous seas and gale-force winds. Everybody is feeling seasick, but one morning, as you stand your watch on the ship's bridge, the winds diminish and the sun breaks out. The Pole Star is plowing through smooth seas speckled with small icebergs and the broken mush of pack ice. As you sweep the horizon with binoculars, you notice a white line that spans from one end of the horizon to the other. Quickly you call down to your uncle, and he comes up to the bridge. Taking the binoculars from you, he slowly scans the southern horizon, then nods, confirming your opinion. Ahead, less than 20 kilometers away, is Thunderclap Glacier and Ice Cap, the northern edge of the Antarctic continent. In the chart room, Uncle Ben shows you a chart of Antarctica and explains that it is the highest and coldest continent and the most remote place on Earth. It is far colder than the Arctic and perhaps even colder than the surface of the planet Mars. I don't know about that. A place where the sun never sets in summer and never rises in winter. Yeah, pretty sure Mars is colder, but okay. That's why I can't get promoted. Need to change your name to Scotty. Yeah, I should change my name to Scotty too. Well, I'm not an engineer. Yeah, we know, Uncle Ben. It's the coldest place on Earth. Oh yeah, so I was just showing you here. Here's the map. Thunderclap, Glacier, and Ice Cap. Skull Mountains. Okay. I don't know if we want to go to Skull Mountains, but there's a place called Kiwi. Not sure what that's about. Mir. Isn't that the name of the Russian space station? Or what used to be a space station. Now there's a Kempsplat. Okay, that sounds promising. And the Rumb Mountains. R-H-U-M-B. Okay. And then there's Mount Gay. All right. So there's a lot of different places here. All right, turn to page 12. Isn't Skull Mountain where Skeletor lives? Probably. Totally safe inlet. Yeah, we don't want to go to Totally Safe Inlet. What page were we going to here? Page 12. All right. Just looking at the names on the chart sends chills down your spine. Thunderclap Glacier, Skull Mountains, Danger Bay. This isn't going to be any picnic. We'll unload the equipment on the ice shelf, says Uncle Ben. Then anchor in Danger Bay. You look at the itinerary as your uncle instructs the crew. Dr. Pogalski's group will head south on their snowmobiles to Camp 1 and spend the night there. The next day they'll speed on to Camp 2 on Mount Gay in the Rumb Mountains. There they will set up their automatic ozone monitoring equipment and then head back to the Pole Star. I've decided to go with Dr. Pogalski's party, says Uncle Ben. I'm familiar with the Antarctic, and they will need my help. But who will be in charge of the Pole Star while you're gone, you ask? First Mate Bannon, of course, replies Uncle Ben. You can either stay aboard as temporary second mate or join the expedition as cook. Being promoted to temporary second mate is quite an honor, you think, as you consider what to do. But being part of the expedition and seeing the Antarctic firsthand would be really exciting. Gumdrop Mountain, Molasses Swamp. Are those like locations in Candyland? Hi, Sean. I think we should go to Mount Gay if you know what I mean. Extremely inconvenient inlet. Join as a cook. We definitely know how to do that. Yeah. Our uncle gave us like a 10-minute cooking class, so now we know how to cook. If you decide to join the expedition, turn to page 44. If you want to become temporary second mate, turn to page 6. We're going to Candy Mountain, Charlie. So we join the expedition as cook, or we stay on the ship and become temporary second mate. Join the expedition. Wasn't Danger Bay a wine cooler in the 90s? Might have been. Sounds familiar. Mate me. Join the expedition. Okay, we're joining the expedition. Page 44. Oh, someone had that page marked for some reason. I'll mark that. Must have been Wendell that had that page marked. Page 44. You join the expedition and prepare to leave the Pole Star. Mr. Bannon, the first mate, maneuvers the ship alongside the ice. The crew, using deck cranes, offloads the expedition's equipment. Dr. Pogalski's plan is to head south rapidly, about 200 kilometers inland, and establish Camp 1 there. A prefabricated hut will be set up and stocked with supplies for the party on its return trip. The following morning, the expedition will head farther south and set up Camp 2 on one of the lower peaks of the Rumb Mountain range, nearly 400 kilometers from the edge of the ice pack. The ozone monitoring equipment will be assembled and hooked up to a radio transmitter so that a continuous stream of reports can automatically be transmitted back to the United Nations Ozone Monitoring Station in New Zealand. Solar panels and batteries will supply the electric power. Dr. Pogalski has given each person in the expedition flare pistols, rope, and a locator beacon just in case one of the snowmobiles breaks through the snow and falls into a crevasse. You shiver at the thought, and Uncle Ben sees your reaction. That's one of the many risks in the Antarctic, he says with a grim smile. How to cook for 40 humans. Did Dr. Pogalski invented Pogs? How to cook man. No, how to serve man. Was that like a Twilight Zone episode? Yeah, so if they get hungry, that's what they'll have us. That's why they'll have us along. You drew the short straw. All right. You and the other members of the expedition kickstart your snowmobiles and attach the sleds that will carry the supplies and equipment across the ice. There are 7 of you, 3 pairs riding tandem on the snowmobiles, with Uncle Ben towing a heavy sled of supplies on a 4th. Turn to page 67. Oh yeah, Uncle Ben, he taught us to cook rice. That's why we're the cook now. Do we have the choice to pop a wheelie? That would be cool. The expedition makes good time over the glazed ice and hard-packed snow. The wind stings your face, and ice crystals form on your eyelashes as you ride along. But this is a real adventure. You're paired with Sourdough, the oldest member of the expedition. But despite his age, he's strong and agile, and a lot of fun. To pass the time, the two of you sing songs at the top of your lungs. And there we are on a snowmobile with Sourdough. I guess that's Sourdough right there. Here's the thing. If it's really that cold out, why are we we don't have our hats on? He's just wearing a cap. I have a feeling that the author's never actually been to the South Pole. And Sourdough only smells a little funny. Yep, his name is Sourdough. Turn to page 74. What kind of songs is he teaching us, though? That's what I want to know. After 8 hours of travel, Dr. Bogalski calls a halt. The expedition force has traveled nearly 220 kilometers, and you're ready to rest. It takes another 2 hours to set up the prefabricated hut and stock it with gasoline, tins of food, and medical supplies for the expedition's return journey. Finally, you finish building Camp 1. You cook dinner, and Sourdough helps you wash the dishes. He's a funny old guy, you think, as you remember what Uncle Ben told you about Sourdough's background. He spent his early years in the Yukon and seems to know a lot about the Antarctic. He's the expedition's official surveyor and will stay behind at Camp 1 to keep an eye on things and do some surveying of the Skull Mountain Range, which is west of the camp. Just before you turn in for the night, Dr. Bogalski calls everyone together. And, I forget if Dr. Bogalski was a man or a woman. Oh, he, okay. All right. We've made good time today, and the weather forecast looks good for tomorrow. I think we should just take 3 snowmobiles onto Camp 2 and leave the 4th one behind here. One of you will have to stay here with Sourdough. Do I have any volunteers? You'd really like to go on to Camp 2 with the expedition, but maybe it would be more valuable to the expedition if you stayed behind. If you decide to stay at Camp 1, turn to page 69. If you decide not to volunteer to stay, turn to page 52. So Valerie says wants to volunteer to stay with Sourdough and get a yeast infection. We don't want to get a yeast infection. 69? What number are we thinking of, dudes? 69, dudes. Okay. All right. Stay with Sourdough. So everyone's saying stay with Sourdough. Okay. Page 69. All right. You volunteer to stay at Camp 1, and you and Sourdough wave the expedition off in the morning. They'll be back in 3 days, and actually, you're looking forward to helping Sourdough with his survey of the mysterious Skull Mountain Range. But after the expedition leaves, you realize that Sourdough doesn't seem to be all that happy to have you hanging around, and he keeps mumbling to himself about tenderfoots who shouldn't be down on the Antarctic ice in the first place. And you thought he was your friend. 3 days with this old codger is going to be boring. By mid-morning, you both head west on skis towards the mountains. You're in the lead. A rope 25 meters long is tied both to your waist and to Sourdough's, just in case one of you falls through a snow bridge into a crevasse. The thought of something like that happening is more chilling to you than the bitter bite of the wind. The whole crew did a team building exercise and took names of bread. You're going to be rye. You're going to be pumpernickel. Yeah, Sourdough. Sourdough hates us. Oh, sorry, Rachel. I missed your... Said Rachel wins #1 comment. I missed the comment. Sorry, Rachel. Turn to page 73. You and Sourdough are making good time across the ice shelf when suddenly the world falls out from underneath you. You've broken through a thin cap of snow that bridges a deep crevasse in the ice. You tumble end over end, your skis breaking into splinters as you fall, your face and body smashing against the ice on either side of the crevasse until, with a snap of your safety rope, you jerk to a stop. The wind's knocked out of you. The pressure of the rope is like a vice around your waist. You hang there, disoriented, dazed, bobbing up and down like a puppet on a string. Slowly, your head clears. You're dangling by the safety line, with walls of ice well beyond your reach on either side of you. A little slit of daylight is far above you, and the blackness below. Suddenly, the rope jerks, and you drop even deeper into the crevasse. Oh no. The crust has betrayed us. The crust of the sourdough. Your neck snaps like a jet from West Side Story. Well, the funny thing is, like, even before we read the page, like, we already know what's going to happen because, like, it shows that picture right there. So now it's time to begin our descent. Not the end yet, though. You can guess what's happening, and it's not good. Sourdough is still on the ice cap, but your weight is slowly pulling him to the edge of the crevasse. The situation is desperate, and you don't have much time to act. By pumping your legs, you might be able to swing back and forth on the safety line and eventually reach the sheer wall of ice nearest you. Then, using the ice axe, you could chop hand and foot holes in the ice and relieve the load on the safety line, allowing Sourdough to dig in and drop a separate rescue line. But looking down, you can see a shelf in the ice less than 2 meters below you. If you cut your safety line, you might be able to land on it and relieve the pressure. In seconds, Sourdough will be dragged to the lip of the crevasse, and you'll both be goners. You have to make up your mind fast. If you choose to start swinging, turn to page 76. If you cut the safety line, turn to page 2. I blame Sourdough for being too dense. Yeah, that's what he gets for calling us tenderfoot. Don't trust the cake? Yeah, this choice sucks. Cut the line. So Rachel says cut the line. Stephanie says cut the line. Anyone else for cutting the line? So crumbly. Snip, snip. Yeah, this is a crummy choice. Cut the line. Love isn't always on time. Alright. Guess we'll cut the line. Maybe we'll land on that piece of ice. Page 2. The ledge is only a few meters below you, and you're almost sure that you'll land on it. It takes you only a few seconds to cut through the nylon line. You fall, and as you land on the ledge, your head smashes against the ice. You see stars. You've lost your ice axe. As you begin to slip slowly off the ice shelf, you desperately try to dig your nails in to prevent from slipping. But it's too late. You slip farther, then fall, tumbling downward into the icy black depths for what seems like an eternity. And it is. The end. Well, okay. Well, we saved Sourdough at least. Yeah, that's what matters. Dead. Slip sliding away. Slip sliding away. Ice. You're as cold as ice. Yeah, I don't think you'd fall forever. Not for an eternity. I don't think they know what the eternity means. You just fall forever. You just fall right through the earth. And go out the other end. Yeah, damn. Damn is right. Alright, well, I guess we'll start swinging then. Yeah, baby, yeah. This is my happening. It freaks me out. Page 76. Yeah, I'm going to swing here. Page 76. Sourdough freezes well, though. Yeah, I wonder what happens to Sourdough. Does he survive? I guess we'll never know. You start to swing back and forth, kicking your legs. "Hang on!" Sourdough shouts down to you. "Don't move!" For what seems like forever, you hang there on the safety line, slowly swinging back and forth like the pendulum on a clock. Then slowly, ever so slowly, inch by agonizing inch, you are pulled upward. It takes more than an hour, but finally you're at the surface. Sourdough, his hands bloody from rope burns, helps you up from the lip of the crevasse, and both of you edge back from the chasm. Then sit down and brew some hot tea on your portable camp stove. Sourdough nods towards his ice axe. "Old mountain climbing trick," he says. He goes on to explain that he was able to wrap 6 or 7 turns of the safety line around the round wooden shaft of his ice axe, jam the end of the shaft into the ice, then rotate the metal end of the axe, slowly winding you up to the surface. Now you know that he is your friend for life, because he risked his life to save yours. "We better get back to camp and get your hands properly bandaged," you suggest. He nods, and you gather up your equipment for the trek back. Go on to the next page. He's our friend for life now. I'm a swinger. Yeah, we do. We have to stop, collaborate, and listen. Did we just become best friends with Sourdough? This book should just be called Sourdough. It takes a long time to trudge back to the camp because you've lost your skis in the crevasse, but by late afternoon you can see the hut in the distance. But something's very wrong. Near the hut there are ski tracks all over the place. Counting them up, you estimate that there were 6 or 7 skiers in the party. Sourdough rushes into the hut and yells from inside. Pushing open the door, you see that someone has taken an axe to your supplies, broken open the cases of food, then poured gasoline over the whole mess. The gasoline fumes are so thick that your eyes sting. It's a wonder the whole camp didn't burst into flames. Sabotage! But by who? Who could do such a... The Nazi ski patrol, maybe? Red Besties? Some Lizzie Borden? Yeah, maybe she got up there somehow. I don't know how she did it, but... "What do you think, Sourdough?" you ask, puzzled. "Pretty plain to me," he says. "We've been bushwhacked, and if we'd been here, whoever it was would have probably killed us. I reckon, from the direction of the tracks, that after they left here, they headed inland towards Pugalski and the rest of his team. Somehow you've got to get word to Dr. Pugalski. The only way is to ride through the night on your snowmobile and get to Camp 2 before the killers do. But Sourdough's hands are badly cut up, and the emergency medical kit was destroyed by the invaders. Maybe you should take Sourdough back to the Polestar where someone can bandage his hands. After all, he did injure himself, saving your life." Bushwhacking isn't fatal if you do it right. It's a mirage. Yeah, Sourdough's not having a good day. So if you take Sourdough back to the Polestar, turn to page 53. If you decide to warn Dr. Pugalski, turn to page 86. So we should, Valerie says we should take Sourdough back to the Polestar to help. Yeah, Sourdough has to file for unemployment on Monday. So Rachel and Valerie saying help Sourdough. If we warn them, we'll probably get Sourdough killed. Yeah, then he'll be a very sourdough if he doesn't get his hands fixed. Bandage SD's hands. Okay, Sourdough is toast. Okay, but Don says no way. Don, does that mean so? You're saying we shouldn't take Sourdough back to the Polestar? Forget about Sourdough. We bought some bread at the deli we went to, and I'm going to make some toast because of this book. Yeah. Is it pumpernickel or is it rye?
No, it's pumpernickel.
It is pumper. Oh, I like pumpernickel though. Okay. All right. So I guess we're taking him back to the Polestar. That seems to be the the consensus here. You'll need food for the trip back to the Pole Star. You carefully sift through the debris. The emergency food ration box is the only one that hasn't been axed and then sloshed with gasoline. That's sort of odd, you think. You bend down and pick it up. Too late, you notice that there's a thin wire leading from the box to some kind of silver-colored cylinder that was hidden underneath the box. Suddenly, the cylinder splutters and then spurts a tongue of white flame. Woof! The gasoline-laden fumes explode in a flash of sound and fury. Arg! You always hated barbecues. The end. Because we're the ones getting barbecued, get it? There it is. Yep. Man. Woo! We just got roasted. Well, at least when we died, it was, us and Sourdough together. All right, well, I guess there was no way to help Sourdough. I guess he's screwed either way. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess we're not going back to the Pole Star. I guess we have to warn Dr. Bogalski. We got baked together. Yep. Not half baked, but totally baked. And not baked in a good way. All right, page 86. Now Sourdough is toast, yep. Sourdough is as tough as an old boot. His hands are hurt, but in a couple of days of easy skiing, he can make his own way back to the Pole Star. And you're sure he'll understand your decision. It's his life, balanced against the lives of Dr. Bogalski and his scientists. You explain your plan to Sourdough. Good luck, Greenhorn, Sourdough calls after you as you mount up on your snowmobile. I'll get back to the ship all right, so don't worry about me. You wave and then blast off across the snow. You keep the throttle wide open, eating up the kilometers. You know that you're going dangerously fast, but you figure your enemies have a head start on you. You've got to beat them to Dr. Bogalski. Finally, you see the Rumb mountain range and the glacier. Turn to page 79. How come we're not worried about our uncle at all? It's all about Dr. Bogalski. Isn't our Uncle Ben still with him? Who cares about our uncle? It's more important to save the doctor. You remember that Dr. Bogalski, our reasonings are household reasonings, yep, pretty much. You remember that Dr. Bogalski said he and the rest of the party would dismount at the glacier and climb Mount Gay, the peak on the right, until they were near its crest. With your binoculars, you could see the party heavily burdened with equipment, slowly toiling up the snowfield. It will take you a couple of hours to catch up. You scan around the glacier, trying to figure whether you can take a shortcut, and then, as you look higher up Mount Gay, you notice something moving. It's a figure in a white parka and pants. No, it's more than just one person. There are 2, 3. You count 7 of them, and they're clustered in a small group above the crest of an overhanging snow cliff, right over Dr. Bogalski's party. You have a sinking feeling in your stomach. As you watch, there's a big puff of smoke. Then, the flash of a massive explosion. The figures in white have dynamited the crest of snow and started an avalanche. Oh no! Ben can take the bus. He'll be fine. Yeah, Uncle Ben always dies. That's the way it goes. Alright, here we are watching a big explosion on Mount Gay. Here we go. Hey, I've got a bad feeling. Got a bad feeling about this. Turn to page 64. They're all dead. Well, they're probably not all dead. Just probably our uncle's dead. You yell at the top of your lungs, but you know it's too late for Dr. Bogalski and his team to get out of the way of the tidal wave of snow that thunders down on them. Oh no, you think. The figures in white have noticed you. Several of them raise rifles and fire. Bullets sing past you. They fire again, and this time their aim is much better. One bullet shatters the windshield of your snowmobile. Another whistles through your backpack. there's nothing you can do for Dr. Pogalski and the team right now. It's survival time. You wheel your snowmobile around and head off to the east, where there are a lot of ridges of ice in the snow. These ridges, called hummocks, will give you some protection while you figure out what you're going to do next. Yeah, now we're getting shot at. Looks like Hoth. Yeah, looks like Hoth. Got a bad feeling about this. This will keep you warm until you can get the shelter built. All right, there's even a Ben in that too. Ben, Yoda, Dagobah system. Ben. Page 87. When will it be Miller time? I don't know. You make it to the safety of the ice hummocks. From your skiing experience, you know that most people caught in an avalanche can survive, so long as they're dug out by a rescue team within 24 hours. And each of the people in Dr. Bogalski's party is equipped with an emergency locator radio beacon for just such a situation. Maybe you can lead the people who tried to sabotage the mission on a wild goose chase. They're on skis, but you're on a snowmobile that can go 3 times as fast. You decide you'll try to lead them away from the avalanche area, lose them by erasing your tracks, then circle back and rescue Dr. Bogalski's party. You quickly check your map. Less than 5 hours hard riding from here, there's a Soviet research station, Mir. Dr. Bogalski mentioned that some scientists there were doing work that had been tremendously beneficial to worldwide weather reporting efforts. You wonder if these scientists could help you rescue the expedition. You peek around the snow hummock. You can see the attackers. They're not walking down the glacier, they're skiing straight down it like wild demons. You've only got a few seconds to make a decision. If you think you can shake off the attackers and then return to rescue Dr. Bogalski's party, turn to page 70. If you decide to go to the Mir instead, turn to page 45. Mir Station. Yeah, Mir Station, just look up. It's in the sky. The Mir was actually, yeah, that was the Soviet space station. It was still up there. Oh, you like the band The Avalanches quite a bit. Shake 'em off. So Rachel says go to the Mir. Rob says shake 'em off. Anyone else think we should try to shake 'em off? Shake 'em off, shake 'em off. Or anyone else we should go to the Mir? Go to the Mir. Stephanie says also go to the Mir. Yeah, maybe, yeah, we will go to the Mir. Well, I think we'll be okay. We haven't had a high-speed chase in a few books, that's true. Well, we'll see what happens at the Mir, and if things go badly there, then I guess we'll have to try to shake them off instead. With your heart in your mouth and the feeling that your back is going to be an awfully big target, you hunch over the handlebars and roar towards the Soviet station. Luckily, the attackers don't spot you until it's too late. In minutes, you're out of the range of their bullets. You ride through the night, twice almost falling from the saddle from lack of sleep and fatigue. But by morning, you can finally glimpse the coast, and then, only minutes later, the smoke from wood stoves rising in the still air. You roar up in front of the complex of buildings. You try to stagger to the nearest door, but fall in the snow from exhaustion. Our heart in our mouth, that is unsanitary. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong in a Russian research station? I'm sure everything will be fine there. Well, maybe, I mean, we're not actually in Russia, so we'll be okay. This was 1989. This was like the period of like glasnost and all perestroika and all that stuff. You know, when they had been the bad guys, now they were like kind of like the good guys, or not quite as bad or something. Oh yeah, a few John Carpenter movies. Yeah. Have we seen any wolves there that don't act like wolves? Then I probably want to leave. When at last you revive, there is a blur of faces leaning over you, the excited babble of voices, then gentle hands picking you up. In minutes, you're inside the research building, a blanket tucked around you, a mug of steaming cocoa in your hands. Groggy from lack of sleep, you stumble through your story. Professor Lazarev is the research station's chief scientist. He immediately barks out orders, and men scatter to round up rescue equipment, food, and medical supplies. A younger man hands you a plate of hot stew and buttered black bread. My name is Sasha. I'm Professor Lazarev's son. I'm in charge of the sled dogs, he says with a modest smile. Now eat up quickly. We'll be airborne in 10 minutes. You realize that these people are doing everything possible to help you. It's a wonderful feeling to know that they really care. Suddenly, the door crashes open. A gigantic man stands there, his hands on his hips. What's going on here? He demands. Captain Igor, I have no time to play your games, Professor Lazarev quickly explains. We've got to take the helicopter on a rescue mission. Get out of my way! Igor smirks. Think again, Professor. The helicopter has a serious technical problem that's being worked on by my mechanic. It won't be ready until I say it's ready. That's a bit of rotten luck, isn't it? He laughs wickedly. Oh no. Sounds like Captain Igor is not on our side. Red Dawn. not you, Don Gabriel. Dr. Igor, yep. Is it no, Igor is captain and then the Professor Lazarev, yeah. And then Sasha is Professor Lazarev's son, if you want to say Lazarus. Okay, page 83. Professor Lazarev looks at Igor with disgust. That's your part of the operation, and I can't overrule you. But I will use the long-range radio to call the New Zealand base and ask them to fly to the glacier with the parachute rescue team. Once your helicopter is fixed, we can join them in the rescue effort. Niet! Igor shouts, his face black with anger. The radio, as you well know, is to be used only by me to communicate with Moscow while I am here on my special assignment. Sasha boldly steps forward and faces Igor. I have been talking to our foreign friend, who tells me it's best to wait until the helicopter is repaired. Therefore, there is no need to call the New Zealanders. You told Sasha nothing of the kind. I'm glad that at least he has some common sense, Igor says triumphantly. He turns and slams the door behind him. Professor Lazarev rushes after Igor, arguing that the repair work must be done as quickly as possible. You're astounded and very angry. Every minute wasted decreases the possibility of getting Dr. Bogalski's team out alive, and you're afraid you won't be getting much help here with Sasha and Igor interfering. If you confront Sasha, turn to page 96. If you rush outside, turn to page 94. So I guess we'd go outside to rush after Professor Lazarev and Igor. Or we could confront Sasha. Only by me, Tovarich. Is it time for a fastball special? Tovarich. I knew that word from reading X-Men comics. Dr. Begbalmsky. Confront Sasha. Confrontations always go great. Confrontation? Confront? Okay, let's confront Sasha. See what happens there. Don't know if that'll go well, but we'll find out. You grab Sasha by the elbow and pull him angrily aside. But Sasha turns to you and says, Don't worry, I didn't betray you. Just keep quiet and follow me. He crooks his finger, beckoning you. You go into the kitchen, then through a door and down a flight of steps. Sasha holds his finger up to his lips
This tunnel connects all the buildings together, so we can move around in blizzards without having to go outside, he whispers. We have to get past Igor's command post without him or his men noticing.
But where are we going? He smiles.
To where the long-range radio is installed, of course, so we can contact our friends, the New Zealanders.
You follow Sasha along the dark tunnel. Occasionally, the tunnel branches off into stairs leading up towards the surface. Sasha suddenly stops, his body tensing, then turns to you.
Follow close behind me and keep very quiet. This stairway leads up to Igor's command post. You mustn't know what we're doing.
As you sneak past the stairwell, you can hear both Igor's voice and Professor Lazarev's raised in a heated argument. You want to eavesdrop, but Sasha grabs your arm and hustles you up the tunnel. Yeah, come on, don't have time to eavesdrop here.
Valjean, the last we see each other playing. Confront.
Go to the next page. When you're out of earshot, you stop Sasha. What's going on here? One of the world's greatest scientists is buried under tons of snow, and Igor would be happy to let him and the others die. Sasha shakes his head sadly.
My father and his associates are respected scientists also, but Igor and 7 of his men flew in from Moscow less than a week ago on some kind of secret mission. You have to understand, my friend, in every country of the world there are all kinds of people, some good, some evil. The world wants peace, but people like Igor do not. That's why I'm helping you.
You follow Sasha up a set of stairs and through a steel door. Inside is a room filled with electronic equipment, computers, printers, and a massive power distribution panel still in the process of being wired.
This way,
Sasha says, quickly leading you to the long-distance radio transmitting station. You're about to turn the radio on when you hear the crunch of heavy boots, then a key inserted in the door to the outside. If you stand your ground, turn to page 47. If you tell Sasha to hide, turn to page 93. Yeah, no packs for Igor.
There are good people and bad people all over the world.
So do we want to stand our ground or hide? Tell Sasha to hide? Stand our ground? So Rachel thinks we should stand our ground. Oh, no, sorry. Rachel thinks we should hide. Oh, Valerie also thinks we should hide. Stephanie thinks we should stand our ground. Anyone else have an opinion? Hide or stand our ground? Can we just go to where the dogs are? Maybe we can save the dogs. Are there dogs in? Well, this is a research station. Hide. Here, Rob says hide. Okay, we're gonna have to hide, I think. Page 93. You and Sasha dive behind the book cabinet. You hear the grate of footsteps on the floor and the snap of a switch, and then a barrage of radio static. The intruder begins to call another radio station, and you immediately recognize the harsh voice as Igor's. The other station answers, but the static is so heavy that the voice is garbled, and you can hear only Igor's side of the conversation. Da! Of course I know. The young spy escaped and arrived here at the research station, asking us to form a rescue party. You bungling fools! You should have waited until this meddler caught up with the climbers and was buried alive with them in the avalanche. You peek out and see Igor's face is red with rage. Now young Sasha, who may have been persuaded to their cause, is also missing. But I'll soon find them both and throw them in the cells, he says, laughing. Then I'll fly out to the glacier in the helicopter to join you, so that we can complete our mission. This is Igor, signing off. You can't believe your ears. Igor had something to do with creating the avalanche. Oh no! I'm not sure which person we are. That must be Sasha, because he's like wearing some kind of thing on his... shoulder, maybe. And there's Igor. He's got quite the mustache. Oh, whoops. All right. A lot of high-tech equipment in there. Turn to page 108. Wow, he said the whole plan. I love that movie, Collie Francis, Where the Dogs Are. I don't think I've seen that movie. I know the song "Who Let the Dogs Out." Who let the dogs out? But no. He does look like an Igor. Where the dogs are. I've seen the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven. I've seen that. All right, page 108. You catch your breath as Igor stomps past her hiding place and out of the room, banging the door behind him. Sasha is terribly upset.
So my father was right. Igor and his men are KGB spies. He glances at his watch. Igor never planned to allow us to use the helicopter. The only way we can save your friends is to use my dog sleds. We can have them loaded in minutes. I'll tell my father first, and then meet you over near the kennels. Sasha runs out to prepare the sleds. Maybe you should still contact the New Zealanders. After all, they can fly to the glacier in only a couple of hours and get started on the rescue well before you and Sasha could arrive by dog sled. But Igor's men might hear your broadcast and be waiting to shoot down the New Zealand plane when it arrives at the glacier.
Must Love Dogs ain't just a DVD. This book has Jack Black? Maybe. Yes, if you call the New Zealanders, turn to page 100. If you take the dog sled, turn to page 88. So Valerie says, yes, load the dogs. Anyone else think we should just go directly to the dog sled and don't bother with the New Zealanders? Yeah, how often does New Zealand get called for help? Take the dog sled. So Rachel says, take the dog sled. Stephanie, dog sled. All right, we're doing the dog sled. All right. Minutes later, you meet Sasha out at the dog kennels. The dog sleds have already been loaded with rescue equipment. As Sasha hooks up the dog team harness, he suddenly frowns. Suppose Igor finds out that we've gone and decides to follow us in the helicopter. That could be a real problem for us. You hadn't given it much thought, but an idea comes to you. Sasha, I can sabotage the helicopter, but I'll need your help. If you can call the mechanic away from the hangar, I'll be able to find something to jam the blades with, so that when the rotors start turning, the whole mechanism will self-destruct. How do we know how to do that? Suddenly we're experts on helicopter mechanics, but okay. Sasha smiles at your plan. I have another plan. Perhaps more simple, he says. We could put sugar in the fuel tank and cause engine trouble. If you feel destroying the rotors is the way to go, turn to page 101. If you prefer Sasha's plan, turn to page 103. Yeah, we're experts on whatever we need to be experts on. Based on whenever the need arises to be experts on something, we're experts. Well, Uncle Ben gave us like a 10-minute explanation of how helicopters work. So, sugar, do the sugar. Sugar in the fuel tank. Stephanie's saying sugar in the fuel tank. Valerie's saying sugar in the fuel tank. Anyone else for sugar in the fuel tank? Go with Sasha's plan. Sugar. Rachel also says sugar. I think we're doing sugar. We're going with Sasha's plan. (103) Great idea, you tell Sasha. You head for the hangar while Sasha goes to the kitchen. 10 minutes later, he comes back from the kitchen with a bulge under his jacket, giving you a secret wink. You distract the mechanic as Sasha sneaks up to the helicopter's gas tank and pours in the 2-kilo bag of sugar. Mission accomplished! Igor will be able to start the chopper, but he won't get far before the engine loses power and he has to land.
He may catch up to you by snowmobile, but it will take much longer. You and Sasha run to the kennels, and on your way meet Professor Lazarev, Sasha's father. Professor Lazarev asks to join the rescue effort because he has always wanted to meet Dr. Bogalski, a scientist whose work on the atmosphere is famous worldwide. So you, Sasha, and the professor head south towards the glacier on the sleds. You make good time, driving through the night hours, arriving in the early morning. After a desperate search, you find your Uncle Ben, who's clawed his way up out of the snow. He's dizzy, confused, and half frozen. You want to make him some hot soup on your camp stove, but he bravely shakes his head. "No, find the others. I'll be all right," he says. Say Igor 5 times fast. Igor, 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 Igor. I'll do that 4 times. Give me some sugar. Sugar. And water. Give me sugar. I meant sugar. Frozen, yes, frozen rice. All right. With the help of your locator beacon, you find the others and dig them out. They are roughed up and have minor frostbite on their toes and fingers, but are otherwise all right. "We must get to a shelter immediately, so that they can warm up." "But where?" you ask. Except for going back to the Soviet base, or the Pole Star, there's nothing within hundreds of kilometers. "There is a place," says the professor. "Our satellites have finally located the Chemsplat station. It's run by dangerous and greedy people, but it's our only choice." Doubling up on the dog sleds, your party heads towards Chemsplat, using Professor Lazarev's map coordinates. The dogs are winded, even though Sasha urges them on. As your party approaches a frozen plain of ice and snow, Professor Lazarev signals for the dog sleds to halt. "According to my information, this is the location of the Chemsplat station," he says. The dogs are reined in, the sleds are unhitched, and Sasha feeds the animals. Dr. Bogalski and Professor Lazarev pace back and forth through the crunching snow, arguing. You pull your parka close around your neck. As cold as you feel, you know the others are worse off after being buried alive. Still, none of you can survive much longer without food and warmth. My spidey sense that Uncle Ben will be okay. Or then Rachel says, that's funny, you both said something about spidey sense. Uncle that he dies in the first movie. Okay. Finally, you spot a plateau, and all of you gather at the foot of the slope leading up to it. It's obvious that the frostbitten scientist and his assistants will not last out in the freezing atmosphere much longer. Shelter must be found, soon. We'll approach on foot, Dr. Bogalski says softly. We'd better not advertise our arrival, just in case. All of you are winded as you reach the top of the plateau. Is that the right page? Yeah, okay. All of you are winded as you reach the top of the plateau, but there's nothing there. No buildings, no signs of life, nothing. But Marie has excellent eyesight. She points to a pole with a flag on top of it, sticking up out of the snow. Cautiously, you all approach it. Then, you notice that there's a rope trailing up out of the snow next to the pole. You pull on it, and a door creaks upward, revealing a set of stairs that lead downward into a corridor. You've found shelter at last. Turn to page 110. So Sasha's dad only wanted to go for his career networking? Yeah, I wish we didn't have to go to Chemsplat. Oh, page 110. You and your party descend the stairs, past a room where cold weather clothing is hung, down a dimly lit corridor. No one has stopped you yet. No guards, no welcoming party, no one. It's as if the whole underground complex were deserted. Finally, you come to a three-way branch in the corridor, each with a door. One is marked laboratory, another power generation room, and the third control room. Dr. Bogalski grabs the handle to the door marked laboratory. This way, he urges. There will be scientists like us working in there, people who speak our common language of research, people we can trust to help us. But from somewhere up the corridor, you suddenly hear footsteps running towards you. They could be coming to welcome you, but then again, they might be unfriendly. If you decide to enter the laboratory, turn to page 95. If you wait to see who's coming down the corridor, turn to page 105. The common language of research. They are also scientists. We can all be friends now. I like the common language of research. It's pretty cool language. So, so Valerie says we should enter the lab. Anyone else? Stephanie says we should wait and see who's coming down the corridor. Anyone else have a feeling one way or another about this? So it says somewhere up the corridor you hear footsteps running towards you. So if we go into the lab, then we won't have to worry about the people coming towards us. Lab it? Alright, I guess we're going to lab it. I guess we'll never know who's coming down the corridor. They speak the common language of research, so we should be fine. Page 95. You follow the others into the laboratory. The room is dark, but you can hear the sounds of animals moving around. And you can certainly smell them. Whew! The door locks behind all of you, and suddenly the center of the room is flooded with blinding light. "Ah," says a voice from a speaker on the wall. "Visitors from the Pole Star. I'm Dr. Gribble, and you've meddled in my affairs once too often. Now you're meddling in Chemsplat's affairs as well." Suddenly, a steel cage drops from the ceiling, fencing all of your party behind steel bars. Oh no. That doesn't seem like the common language of research to me. "I have developed the world's most powerful laser," Dr. Gribble cackles. "So powerful that I can destroy satellites at will. But for now, I am just burning holes in the ozone layer." "But the sun's dangerous ultraviolet rays will penetrate the Earth's atmosphere, and millions of people will die of fatal sunburn." You press against the steel cage, but the bars don't budge. "Ah, but you're wrong. Chemsplat, the multinational chemical manufacturer that funds my research, has developed a very effective suntan lotion. Unfortunately, it's also very expensive. However, that's not my concern. If the 6 billion people of the Earth don't want to die from the effects of sunburn, they will have to buy Chemsplat suntan lotion, and Chemsplat will make billions thanks to me. And all of you will be my new experimental animals, without the protection of Chemsplat suntan lotion, of course." As photoreflectors move into place, an overhead door slides open, exposing you and your friends to the bright Antarctic sun. But the air is bitter cold, and the temperature is dropping by the minute. You look around for some means of escape, but your cage is shut tight. Your end reminds you of a TV dinner. You're going to be deep frozen and broiled at the same time. Sounds delicious. Well, there's only 4 of us in the cage. Where's everybody? I guess we're all in different cages. Was that supposed to be Marie? Maybe? She had like one line of dialogue. We didn't learn anything about her, and there's, gosh, I don't know who are these people. I know that's us, right? That's got to be Lazarov, I'll bet, on the right. And then maybe that's Sir Grancy or something. Most hilarious ending ever. Oh, we're Jiffy Pop essentially. Oh, we're dead. Okay. Well, let's maybe. I guess we'll see who's coming down the corridor then. Yeah.
Uncle Ben has a beard? Maybe. Yeah, maybe we should see who's coming down the corridor. Oh. Oh, that's who's coming down the corridor. All right. As you wait in the corridor, out of the gloom rush a bunch of men in white snowsuits, guns held at the ready. "Comrade Captain Igor," one of them shouts, "we have captured the enemy agents." From around the corner comes the hulking figure of their leader. "CIA spies," Captain Igor shouts. "You thought you could steal the Chemsplat laser secretly installed here, but I've foiled you." "What laser?" you ask. You hope to keep him talking while you think of a plan. "Do you take me for a fool?" Igor snarls. "For months we in the KGB have known that Chemsplat has the world's most powerful laser. If it falls into the hands of a world power, then it will ruin all chance of peace. My country has signed a treaty banning the use of the Star Wars weapons. We have been ordered to destroy the laser so that no one, not even the Soviet Union, can steal it and use it as a weapon." Wait, so whose side are they on then? I'm confused. So they're not on the side of the Soviet Union then? Like, why wouldn't they want, if they're KGB agents, wouldn't they want the Soviet Union to have... Oh, Jack Black is back with his mustache, yeah. He does kind of look like Jack Black. Well, that's a weird angle. Like, our heads like all like turned. Well, there he is with all his... I guess, are those all KGB agents? There's 1, 2, 3, 4... Well, there's 5 guys. Oh, okay. Page 112. Not even the Soviet Union. Banning the use of the Star Wars weapons. No more lightsabers. No, I think maybe they're talking about the Star Wars, like, back in the 80s, the Star Wars, like, where we were going to build, like, a bunch of satellites to shoot down missiles and stuff. Because if any world power, including the Soviet, gets it, they'll destroy the world. They're very forward-thinking KGB agents, yes. They might be from one of the Soviet republics that hates Russia. Yeah, there were certainly a lot of those. Maybe they're all from the Ukraine. All right. You're dumbfounded. The KGB working for peace, nor war? You're wrong about us being CIA spies, you argue. We came to Antarctica on a scientific mission to learn about the depletion of the ozone layer. But I understand now why that's happening. The Chemsplat laser is so powerful that when it's pointed up at the sky, it destroys the ozone layer. Igor's face is puzzled, but suddenly he grins. "Okay, prove that you're not CIA and help me destroy the laser." Turn to page 106. So is like you're the good guy now? Thank you, Ronald Reagan, for this aggressive stance on suntan lotion. Yeah, in Soviet Russia, book chooses for you. What a country. Yeah, Reagan called his space missile program Star Wars. Yep. Late stage capitalism killed the Earth. Page 106. Although you allow Igor and his KGB thugs to lead the way, you're really wondering whether they might secretly plan not to destroy the laser, but to steal it, then turn it over to their military, despite the peace treaty. At your signal, you and your friends overpower Igor and his fellow agents, then herd them along the corridor until you find a large storeroom that contains supplies of food for the Chemsplat facility. You push them into the room, slam the door shut, and set a guard to make sure that they don't break out. So far, so good. Though the scientists are puzzled, you have no doubt about what must be done. Wait, so they really didn't go into much detail how we were like able how we were able to overpower Igor, like Igor and like a bunch of other KGB agents that all had like weapons pointed at us. Okay. We just overpowered them. Oh, you never knew, Stephanie, you never knew that was the thing that they called it Star Wars? Yeah, it was it was going to be the Star Wars Missile Defense Program back in the 80s. And it would have just like cost too much. Like basically it was they were going to build this like a network of satellites in space that could use lasers to shoot down nuclear missiles. But it just would have cost too much, I think. That's why they never built it. Page 75. Oh, you thought I was kidding about the Star Wars thing? Nope.
No,
Oh.
I know it's wrong.
Oh, okay. Of course you do. All right, page 75. The Chemsplat laser is a tremendous threat to the world's population, but if you try to destroy it, a lot of people in the Chemsplat complex are going to get hurt. Hey, wait a minute. You suddenly realize that the laser is powered by electricity. If you can permanently destroy the power station, then the laser will be out of business. You and your friends scramble back to the door marked control room. You approach a huge console with flashing lights and thousands of knobs and dials. Wow, that's why there were no generator exhaust stacks on the surface. Chemsplat's electrical power is generated by a nuclear reactor. Suddenly, a siren goes off and a mechanical voice announces, "Attention! Unauthorized personnel in the control room. Red alert! Red alert!" Any minute guards are going to arrive, and you had better get your act together. Puzzling over the controls on the console, you notice two large red buttons, one marked Scram and the other one marked Flood. It looks to you as if one of the buttons might stop the reactor, but which one? If you push Scram, turn to page 113. If you push Flood, turn to page 107. Oh, that's okay. Chemsplat sounds like a fictional company on Mr. Show with Bob and David. Oh yeah, shooting down missiles with F-16s. That would work. Scram? So Valerie says Scram, Stephanie says Flood. You'll flood the whole compartment. He's dead already. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, it was a dumb idea with a dumb name that failed, so you didn't miss much. True. I have no idea. Flood? I think of flood. I think of like radiation flooding the whole room, maybe, which would be bad. But Scram sounds. I don't know what Scram's supposed to be. Flood? Scram? Anyone else think we should choose either Scram or Flood? I have no idea. Scram. As opposed to good radiation flooding the room. Yeah, maybe it'll be some good radiation. A flooding the reactor might be like flooding the engine and make it not work. So Sue says Scram. Rob says Scram. I think we'll do Scram. Hulk-like. Poetry Scram. Page 113 to Scram. A mechanical voice announces, "Reactor scrammed and automatically shutting down. Electrical power being shut off." The corridors of the Chemsplat station grow dim. The air is starting to chill because the heating units, powered by the nuclear reactor, are no longer working. Only minimum battery power is available now, and an order goes out over the public address system. "Evacuate!" Before long, the walls will be crusted with ice. Chemsplat will become a frozen grave. The Chemsplat employees are already evacuating, taking with them just what they can carry. There probably wasn't enough time for them to send out a radio message. Without help, they'll have to walk all the way to the coast to be rescued. In the dark, one of the Chemsplat guards rushes up to you, his flashlight already going dim. He has dynamite with a long fuse in his hand. "Why are you hanging around? We're blowing up the exits. This place and its secrets will be sealed up tighter than a tomb. Didn't you hear the order to clear out?" You release your captives, and with the others, make it out just in time. A fleet of helicopters arrives and flies you all to safety. The end. You kids, get off my chapbook. Poetry Scram. I thought Poetry Scram was like a real thing. It's like, I don't know what a poetry scram is, but, or not a poetry scam, but Poetry Scram. I was like, yeah, very glad we didn't listen to you about doing the flooding, Stephanie.
Yeah, the ending where we all live is less funny than a suntan lotion ending, though. That was ridiculous. Poetry is kind of is a scam. That was like a Doctor Evil like Austin Powers type of thing where like suntan use a laser to like make everyone buy suntan lotion. Like, oh man. Also, like I think it kind of obscured the reason why there was a hole in the ozone layer, and instead went with it being caused by a make-believe laser, which I don't know about that. Kind of like the actual message of like helping the environment was lost in there being like a made-up laser introduced in the book. But yeah, well, I did not. You know, and we never actually set up that research station to monitor the ozone layer. Like, did we ever even like do that? Like, that was like originally the point of the book was to set up the research station. I'm assuming they do that later, or maybe they just like wait until they can fix or relaunch that satellite. But yeah, this book kind of like it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but yeah, it kind of started. It was like started as one story and then it became like something totally different. But yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. And also, like, we freed the KGB agents, so like, were they just like, oh, it's fine? I feel like I learned things today, fake things, but things nonetheless. Yeah, it's funny that I'm thinking it's funny that we used we were worried about the ozone layer, and then at the beginning of the book they're talking about all the gasoline that we need to use. And I'm thinking like, well, I'd be more worried about all the gasoline that we're using because that's like heating up the planet more than like no one really talks about the ozone layer anymore. I think it's still a problem, but I guess we have like so many problems right now that like ozone layer is like, yeah, that's a big problem, but we've got like bigger problems. So, anyways, well, this was fun. I think we'll stop here. Yeah, there was a lot of adventures here. Like, as I'm flipping through the pages, I always see like all these other things that like all these paths that we didn't take, but we don't usually read these books for 3 hours, so no, Chris, you don't understand. All the problems are caused by wacky space lasers. So gasoline is fine. Oh, okay. You're right, Stephanie. Use up all the gas you want. Don't worry, it's all about space lasers. As long as we get rid of all the space lasers, we'll be fine. Back off, hippie. I mean, thank you, Chris Ball. Thanks, Rob. All right, well, I guess I'll stop here. Hope you all enjoyed this one. I thought it was a lot more exciting than the last one from last week, where it was just like the adventure was just getting to Earth. Oh yeah, brought to you by ExxonMobil. Was this like late '80s? Was that when they had the Valdez disaster? I don't know. Yeah, and that was definitely Exxon. It was the Exxon Valdez. I think that was the name of it. Oh, you're welcome, Stephanie. Yeah, that was fun. Wacky Space Laser, wasn't he a friend of Wavy Gravy? Wavy Gravy? Frickin' laser. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. All right, well, yeah, I guess we'll stop here. I thank you all for watching, and be back in another week for something. I'm not sure, but got some more Choose Your Own Adventure books on the way. Hey, I just spilled. Thanks mucho. You're welcome, Sean. All right, I guess I'll call it a night on this, and hope to see you all in 1 week. So take care, everybody.